There's this little detail from the Sonic Frontiers prologue Divergence that we find profound and revolutionary meaning in. A detail that's led us to believe it is actually Knuckles. Not Silver, not Amy, not Metal Sonic, not anyone else, but Knuckles the Echidna, who deserves to be the next character after Shadow to get a fully focused year of their own. You see, when this stunning animation was released, it finally did something that the Sonic franchise hadn't done with the games in over a decade. It focused on Knuckles. We get to hear his inner thoughts, as well as see his daily routine of guarding the Master Emerald and caring for the child that live in and around Angel Island. But the detail we want to highlight isn't contained in the animation itself. Rather, it's the fact that the Sonic franchise chose the word Divergence as the title for an animation centered around Knuckles. Divergence is an interesting choice for a name. It essentially means the act of moving away in a different direction from a common point, as in diverging away from something already established. And it's this little detail, this single word, that we believe spells out why a year of Knuckles will lead the way to the Sonic franchise's evolution, and furthermore, solidifying Knuckles as a symbol of change. One that opens the door to a crazy amount of possibilities for every other character and their potential years. But why is the word Divergence so important? And how does it make Knuckles the symbol of change in the Sonic franchise? Well, to understand why, we first need to understand why Sonic Team named the most recent mainline game Sonic Frontiers. This game did a lot for the franchise. It was a return to form in many ways, a focus on storytelling, deep character moments, multiple playable characters, multiple lyrical tracks, and of course the supersonic boss fights. But it did more than that. More than giving us an open zone to run around. More than Eggman getting a new addition to the Eggman Empire. More than giving us a hybrid gameplay style of boost and adventure. This game changed the trajectory of 3 core Sonic characters: Amy, Tails, and Knuckles, because we got to sit down with these 3 characters as they expressed their wants, their desires for something more in life, something for themselves, something apart, away from the titular character himself, Sonic. This game contains the name Frontiers because this game is just that. Sonic Team embarking on a new frontier with their franchise. A new frontier essentially represents uncharted territory. This could be a remote piece of land like the Starfall Islands, but in a character sense, this is a new field of study, a new field of character growth that's waiting to be explored. Amy, Tails, and Knuckles haven't had huge character shifts in such a long time, but now things are changing. And how is Sonic Team choosing to tackle this change? By making each character diverge away from their already established paths, giving each of them a divergence. And before this game even releases, what is the first thing Sonic Team wants to show us? They show us a prologue animation. An animation that starts with Knuckles, as usual, guarding the Master Emerald, but this time, he's questioning himself.
I don't need anyone else to get by. But sometimes, I wonder how things would be if I hadn't been given this responsibility. Why was I chosen for this duty? Perhaps it's karma.
And he continues to voice these thoughts throughout the game as well.
I'll admit, I do envy your lifestyle. Freedom to go where you want, when you want.
So do it. Get out there and live a little.
Maybe I could. But first I need to be back to normal.
Knuckles is questioning his duty, wondering why he's here, why it has to be him guarding the Master Emerald, contemplating about a life that could have been, a life where he wasn't the guardian of the Master Emerald. The word divergence is important because the Sonic characters we've come to love are diverging to new paths of character growth. And Knuckles is the first character who we see to start this journey. A character who is by far taking the biggest leap in character growth out of everyone else. A leap that takes him away from his entire purpose. A purpose given to him when he never got to make a choice on his own. Whether by fate or karma, as Knuckles puts it, this was a burden given to him, and him alone. But it doesn't have to be. You can alter the course of your future, and Knuckles is finally realizing this. And if someone like that can change their destiny, then anyone can. Because out of every single character in the franchise, Knuckles choosing not to guard the Master Emerald anymore and having someone take his place, that would be the single most impactful permanent character shift in Sonic history, hands down. Yes, Eggman has a daughter now, and has gained a level of compassion because of her, but he is still the villain. His character is not changed, but enhanced. Shadow, of course, had an immense and immeasurable shift in which he finally let go of the past and moved on. As seen at the end of Shadow Generations, he's finally forgiven himself, come to terms with Maria's death, gained closure, and finally said goodbye. But Shadow is still Shadow. Like with Eggman, it was a strengthening of his character, not a departure from it. But Knuckles no longer being this guardian of solitude, no longer the one who watches over the Master Emerald. That would change everything about him. Not in a way that ruins him, but in a way we frankly haven't seen for anyone else in this franchise. In a way that might actually change his identity, as seen with lines like this in Frontiers.
I'll admit, I do envy your lifestyle. Freedom to go where you want, when you want.
So do it. Get out there and live a little.
Maybe I could.
And with lines like this at the end of Divergence.
Do things on my own. It's just how I like it. I don't need anyone else to get by. But sometimes...
He has always favored the quiet peace that resides in solitude. But these lines could be a genuine change in his newfound desires of wanting to be a part of something. No longer wanting to stay in one place, only to leave when needed to find the missing pieces of the Master Emerald, like in Adventure 1 and 2, or to stop a world-ending threat like in Heroes in 06. But instead, exploring the world, meeting new people, and being as free as the wind, like Sonic. It's bold, it's baffling, it's a divergence. And that's what the meaning behind this animation is. Also, let us know down in the comments what you would love to see for a year of Knuckles. Should they give him his own spin-off game? If so, what would it be like?
We think a mixture of the treasure hunting sections in the adventure games mixed with some God of War or Devil May Cry style of gameplay would be really cool to see for someone like Knuckles.
And we'd also love it if they explored his fear of ghosts more too. Let's have him meet Law from the amazing Sonic Unleashed animation. That would be fun. Anywho, they could have made this animation a simple comic, just like they did with Convergence. Heck, they could have animated that one too. But they didn't. They chose Knuckles to be the one to give the big animated treatment to, because they're telling us that they plan to make big changes. This is why a year of Knuckles, why Knuckles himself can become a symbol of change. A symbol that would create the biggest impact we've ever seen. In other words, Knuckles and his new path are a symbol of the franchise's new path. Just like Knuckles, the Sonic franchise is setting forth on this new, exciting journey. It's astonishing, really, and it's for these reasons why we feel that out of all the years of videos we've made so far, and for those to come, Knuckles is the first character we actually believe should get a year after Shadow. Because his year can act as a catalyst for every other character's years as they grow and change from their established paths.
And this even makes sense for Knuckles' personality. Think about it. It's Knuckles. He is the guy, the big, dependable stone who is, while not necessarily a leader, someone that others can follow as he leads by example. Diegetically, if Knuckles can leave the Master Emerald, just imagine what that would do for Tails, Amy, and heck, even Shadow. Tails wanting to go off and be his own hero, who is maybe worried about living up to his expectations of himself, could see the bravery and sheer absurdity in Knuckles parting from his sworn duty, and find meaningful motivation that could help stir his own confidence. Amy, wanting to spread her love with the world but maybe not knowing where to start, could see the determination Knuckles has for charting into a completely new, foreign, and unsure path, and be filled with gusto to just start and find her footing as she goes along. Shadow, who has finally let go of the past and moved on from Maria's death, could see Knuckles' willingness to let go of his past as a decision that he knows was not made lightly, which could invigorate a sense of assuredness within him. And although Sonic has always been the one who other characters follow as a sort of role model, Knuckles isn't far off from that perception as well. And while for some time now this specific aspect of his character was thrown to the wayside harder than Amy throwing him into that tree, it's definitely an aspect that is shining through now. He can be ignorant, especially in the past. The dude lives on an island completely alone, so ignorance is bound to happen. But he's always been this figure of responsibility, virtuousness, truthfulness, and honor. Just look at the DC Sonic the Hedgehog comic series. They chose Knuckles to be the character associated with Superman. Yes, it's because he glides, and is super strong, but it's also because Superman is someone, like Knuckles, who is not a leader, but a kind protector. who inspires others through leading by example, showing others how to be strong through their actions, to be a rock but also gentle enough to connect and lift up just as hard as he can smash down. What we're trying to say is that Knuckles, like Superman, can be this shining symbol that the other heroes can look towards for courage and inspiration as they chart on their own path of immense but worthwhile change. But what will Knuckles do now that he isn't guarding the Master Emerald? Of course, we understand that he may not just leave the Master Emerald for good or abandon his duty. Instead, he can sort of extend his mission across the world. His mission was to always protect the Master Emerald. But for what purpose? It was to keep it out of the hands of those who would use its immeasurable power for evil, like his ancestors tried to do. But the reason for this is to simply protect life. And he can still do this, still be a protector. But instead of standing guard, he can ride off and defend the world, defend his home elsewhere. Maybe Chaos and Tikal, who are still around, can be the ones to take his place when he's off exploring. Either way, while the word divergence is just a tiny detail amongst the entirety of Frontiers and this new era of Sonic, it's a detail, a single word that we believe was chosen to represent Knuckles for a reason. A reason that we find profound and revolutionary meaning in, as we believe this choice solidifies why the next character who deserves a year to themselves should be the Guardian himself. Because when it comes to making a big impact, Knuckles is rougher than the rest of them, the best of them.